The Venice wedding was meant to be his redemption, a fairy tale. Lauren's Oscar de la Renta gown, adorned with diamonds, was meant to tell a story of timeless love, but instead, it fueled whispers of excess and hypocrisy. Amid Amazon's antitrust battles, labor strikes, and public distrust, the three-day extravaganza only intensified scrutiny. Critics noted the couple's romance grew from extramarital affairs, and their yacht parties with celebrities and royals highlighted the irony of green commitments on a vessel guzzling 10,000 liters of diesel. Megyn Kelly didn't hold back, pointing to Lauren's surgeries and exposing the desperation behind a billionaire trying to stay relevant. Ridicule, sharper than rage, spread as Jeff remained silent, but it was calculated. Behind closed doors, Amazon strategized. Lawyers mapped scenarios, PR crafted responses, and some Washington Post stories never saw print. Megyn dismissed the Post's reach compared to viral hits like Rogan's Trump interview. Jeff knew the stakes, quietly measuring influence in numbers.
Jeff realized control of the narrative was slipping, not just from the Washington Post, but from legacy media as a whole. Podcasts, YouTubers, and TikTok creators shaped opinion faster than any front page. Megyn Kelly's insult was just a spark. The bigger fear was irrelevance. The walking penis meme went viral, appearing in cartoons, protest signs, and online parodies, turning the richest man alive into a punchline. Yet behind the ridicule, whispers of leaked documents, shell companies, and editorial firings suggested a more dangerous game: influence and power in media control. Megyn had stumbled into structural truth, not just cosmetic jabs. Who decides which stories survive? Who erases what threatens the billionaire image? The laughter hid the stakes. Jeff's empire was not designed for shame, but in the age of the internet, shame spreads faster than any press release or staged photo. The richest man, once a space pioneer, now faced the brutal reality of vulnerability in a digital world.
The internet doesn't care about PR. It thrives on mockery, memes, and moments that strip away power. Jeff Bezos spent decades building a myth of inevitability. Amazon as the everything store. Blue Origin reaching space. The Washington Post as a voice of truth. Yet a viral clip could undo it all. A phrase repeated millions of times turned him from visionary into caricature. His deepest fear wasn't losing money, it was losing narrative control. Megyn Kelly became the unlikely spark. Once ousted and mocked herself, she called him out bluntly, cutting through the glossy covers and corporate statements mainstream outlets wouldn't touch. The Washington Post stayed quiet. Other legacy media praised the wedding, Lauren's gown, and the guest list, ignoring extravagance, hypocrisy, and the workers funding rockets and yachts. The contrast exposed a truth. Billionaires can control media, but some stories never see the light. Megyn hinted at spiked articles, journalists silenced, and legal teams quietly shaping what the public sees and what it never will.
Podcasters like Patrick Bet-David fan the flames, hinting at documents linking Bezos to shell companies and media acquisitions. Less for profit, more for protection. No proof surfaced, but in an age of distrust, whispers spread fast. Bezos offered no denial, letting the narrative grow unchecked. The walking penis meme became shorthand for stripped power, impossible to erase. No wedding diamonds, speeches, or yachts could undo it. He faced a cultural crisis, not a financial one. His sculpted physique, designer tux, and diamond ring proposal suddenly seemed desperate rather than triumphant. Workers questioned the disparity between their labor and his space flights. Politicians and media scrutinized his influence and fairy tale romance. Meanwhile, Megyn pressed on, her podcast blending humor and scorn, racking up millions of views across social media. The internet favored ridicule over reverence, and inside Bezos' circle, the question was urgent: respond, sue, or stay silent? Jeff remained calm, noting storms pass,
But this was different. Memes, once viral, endure.
Some things cannot be erased, only replaced. And Jeff had nothing strong enough to replace the viral joke. The wedding, yacht, and climate speeches all rang hollow against the simplicity of ridicule. Bezos could not outspend mockery or reclaim dignity once comedy struck. Fear and laughter reduce kings to fools, emperors to clowns. The richest man alive became a punchline, his sculpted appearance and sudden transformation scrutinized. Lauren, once glamorous, became collateral. Her beauty dissected, surgeries criticized, her story reframed as cautionary rather than aspirational. Their wedding shifted from a fairy tale to a parody of privilege, prompting questions: was Lauren a partner or a ladder? Was Jeff a husband or a sponsor? The narrative split across tabloids, podcasts, and underground media, while legacy outlets stayed largely silent, their omission louder than words. Readers noticed the wedding coverage, but the labor and ethical questions remained absent.
The glowing media profiles ignored the affair origins, leaving criticism to online voices. Megyn Kelly suggested Bezos had become a puppet master, shaping narratives through omission. And each pulled article reinforced the idea that some truths were too dangerous to print. In the resulting vacuum, podcasters thrived. Memes spread relentlessly, and Bezos lost control over the narratives he once commanded. His silence amplified the damage. On the internet, silence equals admission. His image, long his strongest fortress, shattered. Scorn spread faster than wealth, exposing arrogance and detachment. Space speeches, weddings, gowns, diamonds, and yachts were repurposed into symbols of excess, while viral ridicule drowned out philanthropy and climate pledges. Megyn's roast fused with irony to create a cultural storm no PR team could weather. Lauren became collateral. Memes mocked green claims, and insiders whispered of panic among advisors and lawyers. Silence seemed safer than denial, but it only cemented the collapse. Megyn mocked freely. Audiences laughed and shared, and Jeff, once untouchable, found himself vulnerable. She had nothing to lose. He had everything to protect.
Power is fragile when it relies on silence, and Jeff's did, tied to employees, journalists, and politicians. Megyn Kelly broke through. Her walking penis jab, amplified by podcasts and social media, turning Bezos from Amazon founder and space pioneer into a meme. Ridicule eroded legitimacy, and his wedding, yachts, and glamour became symbols of excess and detachment. Memes, parodies, and viral commentary stripped decades of branding, showing that wealth and staged humility cannot shield image from the internet. Legacy media stayed silent, but culture moved fast. Reputation slipped, ambition became arrogance, and inspiration turned to desperation. Every post, every headline, every joke chipped away at the myth of invincibility. The roast became revelation, revelation became contagion, and contagion became cultural truth. Bezos was no longer untouchable. He was mockable. Megyn Kelly sparked it, but the world fueled the fire, and Jeff stood at the center, not as pioneer or villain, but as spectacle. A stark reminder that power without respect and image without authenticity cannot survive ridicule.
A roast turned into revelation. Will Bezos retaliate? The questions spread through newsrooms, podcasts, and late-night shows. Behind the jokes and memes, though, a sharper truth lurked. When Megyn Kelly called the richest man on Earth a walking penis, it wasn't just a jab at his looks. It punctured his carefully maintained image of invincibility. Bezos, the man who built Amazon, owns the Washington Post, and commands Blue Origin and a $500 million yacht, didn't respond loudly. Silence, insiders say, was strategy.
He learned early that real power waits and reshapes quietly. Meghan's comments, linking his arrogance to his appearance, struck a nerve, especially when highlighting his thank you to workers funding his spaceflight. The clip became a symbol of the gulf between a billionaire and those who built his empire.